just to go over yesterday, he really echoed what he's been saying in the past couple months, like especially since February started, where they've been more and more hawkish. Um, as the better economic data has been coming out, jobs data, stuff like that. It has been calming down when it comes to the data, but we have gotten some very surprise numbers, I would say. So that's basically where he was coming from. Like they're going to continue to increase rates no matter what ends up happening with unemployment or any of our job data or anything like that. They're going to continue to increase rates no matter what ends up happening. So they just want to get inflation under control. But looking at the economic, actually, let's start with the mission statement. Start with their mission statement. Mission here is to create the greatest group of professional traders compiled in the world. We work tirelessly every day to improve our individual selves and push each other to get the most out of one another. With each individual's personal accountability, 100% effort, and consistent action towards focusing on our controllables, we will each reach our full potential individually and as a family. I, Stefanos, pledge to be the best version of myself today, to do whatever it takes to be the greatest trader that I can be, and to be the most self-disciplined person that I know. I will do the things I have to do today, regardless of how I feel, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. I will control what I can control and not worry about anything else. Reminders, we do not overtrade, we do not over-risk. I'm going to get through these pretty quickly because I want to get into the charts. You don't need to catch a trade today. 1 to 2 trade ideas per day, 3 if you see that perfect setup. Focus on keeping your capital from yesterday. Like Lenny, you grabbed a great trade yesterday. You want to focus on compounding those earnings, but at the same time, you don't want to lose all of them based on a bad trading decision. But capital preservation over capital appreciation, aka risk management, number 1. Keep your trading plan in front of you. Make smart decisions. We are system oriented, not how much money can I make on this one given trade. I want you to think longevity, think efficiency, and think long term. We aren't here just to see how much we can make this week. We're here to learn, and we're here to become better traders on a daily basis. We want to become better traders over the course of our lives. That's the focus. And if you focus on that, you're going to be making more and more and more on all these trades. Have a sense of urgency today and eliminate excuses and any victim mindset. You are where you are because of your decisions. Full accountability for your actions. All right. So again, economic calendar over here. We got ADP coming out today at 8:15. Maybe we get some nice move over here to continue from yesterday. Fed Chair Powell is going to be testifying again in front of Congress, and then JOLTS job openings will be being released over here. They're expecting less than previous, so that'll be interesting. But you got the 10-year bond auction going on today at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back testing at that time. Also, I appreciate you guys giving me that leeway yesterday. Yesterday I was off. Again, final GDP coming out quarter over quarter from the Bank of Japan. So that'll be interesting for Asian session. Maybe we could get a nice move during that. But let's go over to our charts here. Starting with GJ right now. Again, GJ on the monthly has not changed too much, right? We have gotten some retracement over here. This candle has flipped bearish over here to start the month off. Again, we're only in the first 8 days over here. We have a top wick. Are we coming back down to possibly 161, 160, that previous area that we've held support, where we could tap into here, hold support, and then continue right back up? Or we can start to break below that area as we get further into 2023 with more people investing into the Japanese yen as a safe haven, where the stock market's starting to continue down, and more panic in the world as far as Russia, Ukraine, or any kind of world tensions. This thing could possibly continue right back down from here. But again, we could very well be holding this support and continuing back up from there. But let's take a look at the weekly. And the weekly, again, you see these exhausted candles. This is how you can read price action. We have this resistance over here that we've been holding. You could arguably move that up there as we get down to lower time frames. You also have this area right over here that we can mark off as well. We can keep this here, actually. Keep that right there, and then we'll mark off this more recent previous resistance, which could be holding as support. But again, looking at these candles, strong bullish candle, another strong bullish candle, much weaker candle. right? Top wick rejection. We end up not flipping bearish, but closing a very weak body. Top wick formed. We've already passed the low of the previous candle over here, and it's a pretty strong bearish candle so far. Looking at the daily now. Looking at the daily, we held that high right up here. Also matches up with the previous support to the left over here. So it's a significant area. We've been coming down from the area, and right now we can actually end up just moving this down right over here. That's our most recent support, and it also matches up to the left over here. This you can really move this down here because that'll be our next target if we break below 161,600. So you got a fairly clean move coming over here to the left if we're able to break below that level. But right over here, what we see yesterday, we ended up getting a very sharp move down, right? You get the consolidation over here where price ends up rejecting this area for the first time. Another rejection with a weak bullish candle, but we did hold some kind of a support right there with that candle. This candle closed below. We ended up holding support right over here, which you can kind of neglect this one right here, as we were holding support right in that area because this candle also ended up closing above that area. But then we ended up grabbing liquidity like we went over yesterday, flipping bearish and continuing right back down, breaking these lows over here and continuing down. Now, what we see was there was immediate bearish pressure in here as that candle passed the low right away. Then we retraced back up to this area. And now, as you can see, we're starting to retrace back down to 162,500, which is where we're at right now, right? So on the day, we're now halfway through the day's high that we created, and now we could end up either flipping bearish or closing a very weak bullish candle and then continuing down from here, right? But again, if we do hold a bullish candle close here to finish the day off, and we end up closing like that, we're still creating higher lows here. Not higher highs though, right? Because we have been creating lower highs, and that tells us that we're in this consolidation right here. But right now we are still continuing to hold higher lows here. So that's one thing to just keep in mind. But this was a play that I took before that I was telling you guys about, where you could possibly play the retest of this previous support. As price rejects that area, you could see it on the lower time frames too. A nice little setup there. There you go. You ended up getting a classic break and retest on the 4 hour. You see how this is like the same thing as like what you'd be looking for on the 30-minute? That's why price action, it all matches up. You end up getting this consolidation, nice clean break of that support, continuing down, clean move to the left, which is why I believe that we could continue down and, you know, retest that low and continue down through there, back down to 161,600. But right now we just got to play on what we see, not what we think, right? But what we ended up getting was this retest and a bearish candle close with a wick to fill, just a pretty weak bearish candle close. This candle respected the high of it, already passed the low of the previous candle. It is retracing a little bit up a little bit. I know we do have some kind of a level right there that we keep reacting to, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. But I do think that with this price action right here, especially if we get a strong bearish candle close right there, we should be continuing right back down. All right, so looking at the 1 hour, the 1 hour looks great. Again, you do have this level right over here, but with a wider stop loss, which is kind of like where I kept mine up here. Actually, I think it was a little bit lower, but with a wider stop loss over here, this thing should continue down. Anybody notice this price action, how we ended up rejecting that level for the first time with that bearish candle? We come all the way down into this area, reject, but then we created this lower high over here. Actually, multiple lower highs with that candle, that wick, and that wick. Also creating lower highs and lower lows. So you see all the bearish pressure from this area right up top here. And this could just be that little retracement, getting in at a better price and continuing right back down. But if you haven't grabbed anything in this, you just got to understand that we could be holding support right here, right now, right? So what you may want to do is wait for that close below this area, because you do have 40 pips below here, right into that support, and a clean move to the left. And if we do break and close below this level, there's a high probability that we should be retesting 162, 100, or going even past that, you know, mirroring this move to the left over here as well. Got a little bit of a fake out right over here. Could very well be continuing down here, but right now this is definitely a spot where you'd want to be taking some profit over here because we could hold support as this has been a strong demand zone and prices pushed up from that area. Right, so just keep that in mind. But right now we are just a little getting a little retracement right now. You also could be seeing maybe something hold like a little resistance in here to continue down, but safer sells will be below this level right here because last time we were at that level, we held a nice solid support. Looking at the 30-minute, as you can see, we're kind of like retesting that neckline, I guess you could call it. People call it that. Get that previous resistance, support, and now we're coming up into that area to possibly hold a resistance. So a lot has to do with this level. I could see a potential close above this level and price creates another lower high and then continues right back down, right? You could get some sells anywhere in these areas up here. But you just want to be cautious, and these might be the safer sells. Everyone concur?
Yep.
But this is a great time for you guys to start journaling this setup right here, right? Start taking a picture of the daily, the weekly, or the daily 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute. See what everything is telling you right here. And then if you end up taking a trade, obviously you got everything ready for you. Right? Look, 15-minute is already holding that resistance right now. We're starting to get very similar impulsive moves over here where we could very well grab something coming down. But again, safe sells are going to be below here. Look how many times we've rejected this area. Right? So right now it is 7:27. The 30-minute is going to be closing in the next 2 minutes now. Right? So can it close? Can we potentially, like this could, I could see us getting a potential impulse volume push over here from 7:30 to 8 if this candle closes a very weak bullish candle. If this thing closes like somewhere over here, right? Next one creates a top wick, passes the low of it. I would wait for it to pass the low of that wick right there if I'm going to take that sell. And I would also put my stop loss above this candle instead of the impulse entry. Or at least like somewhere up here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Get a little something like this. That's kind of what I would be looking for. But right now, this thing looks like in the next, minute right now at this point, it's going to end up closing a strong bullish candle. You may just want to wait for top wick rejection, candles closing in your direction here. And then continuing down from there. We'll see what we end up getting here. But just pay attention to price action. We'll see what we get. And we'll move accordingly. But keep in mind also, like it's pre-New York. Look how many things we got going on later today. Remember, you got two bullets to execute today. ADP, right? We got ADP at 8:15, so you may want to wait for that. That might be the catalyst that pushes us down over here. So you just want to be ready for it. And then also you got Powell speaking at 10 a.m. You got Jolt's job openings coming out. You got major data coming out of the Bank of Japan tonight, right? So just keep that in mind when it comes to taking any kind of sell over here. All right, so looking at gold now. Gold, hell of a move yesterday. There we go. What ended up happening here on the monthly that we were talking about? Anyone know? GJ closed a fairly strong bullish, by the way. Anyone know what we were talking about with the monthly over here, the current monthly candle?
It make a tough week.
Yes, sir. And what did it do after that?
Going down.
Yes, sir. Ended up flipping bearish, right? We saw that this candle barely had a bottom wick at the time, and all it did was started pushing up to start the month. First half of the month, you're typically going to be creating that, or first half of any candle, you're going to be creating that top or bottom wick, and then you're going to continue in the direction that you are intended to go. And this is a very, very strong bearish candle, along with fundamentals that's telling us that there was a high chance this thing would flip bearish and continue down. right? So now it's flipping bearish. Is it going to pass the low of the previous candle? We got a ton of data coming out this week. Got a lot of volume coming out. Could very well be continuing the move from yesterday. Looking at the weekly now, this is that resistance that we talked about over here, where price ended up holding support in this previous support and resistance to the left, right? With a strong bullish candle close here, but then it closed with no top wick. This candle passed the high right away, flipped bearish, and completely corrected that entire move up. That tells us, like I said, we did break the immediate bearish trend that we were in with this candle right over here. But what I was saying was there's a good chance that we could just be pulling back even harder to then continue right back down. So just because you break this trend here on the daily, and also take trends like a grain of salt, it's not that solid of an indicator as opposed to support and resistance, supply and demand. So right over here, we were kind of respecting this downward trend. We end up holding a double bottom here in the lower time frames, pulling back even harder, right? Getting a better price, and then continuing right back down. Now looking at the daily here, yesterday we ended up closing right at that support over here, high demand zone, where we were able to rally up over here. We ended up closing right at that level with no bottom wick. This candle passed the low right away, and right now it is holding some kind of a support in this area, right? So do we have enough volume or fundamentals to kind of push us up from here, right? What I see happening and what I've seen before with this setup is that you're going to get some kind of a little pullback, maybe a little consolidation over here, and then price will continue right back down from there, especially after a move like this. But if we start seeing, this support being held, previous resistances being broken and retested, you could very well be continuing up, and you could have sells anywhere in this area right here, right? You could see some kind of a lower high being formed anywhere in here to continue right back down, right? We could very well come up into that resistance right there as well, right? And maybe even potentially continue up. But Powell would have to completely change his stance from yesterday, which is highly unlikely. All right. So looking at the 4 hour now, 4 hours holding a support, right? These candles are getting weaker. And what is happening right now, technically, right? We know fundamentally what's happening, but technically what's happening is you're getting a strong bearish push down. And then all of a sudden, these sellers are now taking profit, right? Those sellers are taking profit. Question is, do we have enough buyers, enough people confident in gold to now overtake those sellers and continue this thing right back up? Or are you just going to be patient, wait for some kind of a resistance to form, and then you could take this thing right back down later on today? Again, we got ADP coming out today, so keep that in mind. This zone looks interesting as far as potentially holding some kind of a resistance. I don't think you'll have any kind of safe buys until you break this resistance, but at that point, what you really want to do is wait for a retest right here. In the past, in my trading career, I've gotten caught many times trying to take these buys over here just from a breakout and not waiting for this retest, because this could very well end up being a fake out right over here and price continues right back down later on today. And that's probably what's going to happen. Okay. See GJ holding a little resistance. Go back to it real quick. All right. We got that bullish candle close. Definitely did not engulf this bearish candle. This candle is creating that top wick, respecting the high of the previous candle and starting to flip bearish, right? 15-minute closed bearish over here, which I actually like this a lot. The fact that it closed bearish, top wick past the high of it, it's now flipping bearish. I could very well see this continuing right back down. Maybe you want to wait for this 15-minute to close in the next 10 minutes where the stop loss up here might be safe for you to grab this entire move. Just be smart, because you do have ADP coming out at 8:15. So maybe you don't want to trade in here just yet. Let's measure the range. This might help you kind of stay out of this. This is only 10 pips in here, right? So is 10 pips worth losing this trade where price snaps right back, stops you out, right? And then continues down, where then you miss this entire move because you lost this trade, right? And you're not confident enough to jump into this, and then you miss out on 40 pips. Let's actually measure this out. You got about 35 pips right there to that low. And then obviously to that wick right down there, you got about 40, 43.
You can also see like a little trend line break and retest from the current prices right now.
On 15?
No, the trend line is like a higher time frame. I think it's like a, let's see, like a, I see it on the 4 hour and then on the 10 hour.
Trend line, trend line.
Like
Bullish
from
or
wick to
bearish?
wick. From wick to wick.
You want to draw it out for us?
No, actually.
Look at that bearish pressure coming in like that. 4 hour. Right now, respecting the high of the previous, starting to pass the low. Like we should be continuing down over here. This should be our move. See how all the time frames are kind of lining up. Daily candle obviously is bullish, but it is retracing from that area. 4 hours looking good. The 1 hour over here. Oh, you know what I could see? I could see the 1 hour over here starting to flip bearish past the low of the previous candle. I think a safe stop loss would be above this candle, but again, like I said, safe sells below here after a close below that level on the lower time frames.
So you take this trade based on the 1 hour and right?
Well, it would be probably based on the 30-minute to the 1 hour, but also all the time frames are lining up, which is a great confluence for you. It's like one of
If
the
this is a 30-minute, it'd be less pips than 33 pips, right? Or
the 30-minute would be less pips.
well, if you put it, I don't know where you take profit is.
Well, I mean, if the take profit's here, then you're not going to take this trade because there's not enough room, right? But the room over here, right? You got about 33 pips that you could grab if you get that close below. Now, I would be waiting. The best thing to do would be waiting for the 30-minute to close below. So is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would most likely be waiting for the 30-minute to close below, especially like a lot of you guys that we just formed a trading plan. You guys are sticking to the 30-minute. You're not going to have as many opportunities, maybe 2 or 3 less opportunities a week, but at the same time, they're going to be higher quality trades. And they're going to build your confidence. So I'd probably be waiting for the 30-minute to close below. I'll let you know if like the 15-minute over here closes below this level, and if that's like a valid trade, and if I'm taking it. But at the same time, you know, it's much better to wait for the 30-minute to close below, because then you're getting 8 o'clock data and volume coming down if this 30-minute closes below that level. Just wait for the top wick to form on the next candle, breaks its low, and then continues down. This looks really good. 30-minute looks great. 1 hour over here again, flipping bearish. First half of the candle, right? It's 7:39. The first half of this candle really created that top wick. Now the second half, heading into the second half, we're starting to flip. The question is, do we have enough volume and enough time for this thing to completely flip bearish and then give you the 1-to-1 over here? Do we have enough volume for that? Most likely not. So it's all about situational awareness and knowing when to take a trade and when the volume's going to push, all that stuff. But you are someone in the chat. Send you the chart. Oh, Lewis, did you send that over, or is it in Discord? Lewis?
Yeah, I'm sending it now. I just have to. It's just that my trading view is in my other laptop, so
Oh, okay.
it's disconnected from this one, and I gotta connect to that one because I don't have the. I mean, I do have the Pro, but I don't have the multiple devices. You know.
Got it. You good?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to gold for a second here. I think we're on the 4 hour here, and we're talking about this level as being safer buys. Once we break above that level, continue up, we get a clean move to the left, and maybe you can play this bounce off the support over here, right? A lot of sellers taking profit, buyers could be taking over to continue up. Just don't marry those buys. You're trading against the trend, against the fundamentals, all that stuff. You want to be safe when you're taking those buys. Wait for the retest of this level to continue up. It may take longer, but you're going to be safer in that regard. All right, so that's that level right there that we're looking at. Previous resistance, support over here. As you can see, like these candles that are heading up over here, you got a little liquidity grab with that one. But at the same time, they are weaker. These are weaker candles with these big wicks, right? Now, what we do have here is a previous resistance, it looks like right there. Strong bullish candle close. This candle did not pass the low of that candle yet. It is now starting to hold this area as a support. So if you look at the 30-minute, you got a nice break, right? We're pushing bullish over here. Liquidity grab, strong bullish close, bottom wick form, past the high of that candle, continuing up. Now, are we going to retest this level to possibly continue up? Now, at this point, I'm just going to move that there. You got a big enough range. It is 60 pips here, so that's big enough on gold. Question is, do you want to take that right now? Right? I could see it actually happening, right? I could see this level being that safer area to buy above, especially after retesting. But this is kind of what I was telling you to wait for. This setup right over here, as long as we get a strong bullish close. I'm saying, like, if you get that up here, you got a much better chance. I just don't want to see you guys getting faked out over here. You need a really strong bullish candle close right here, or even above this level, for you to take something like this. All right, because you could easily get like a weak bullish candle close, top wick forms on the next one, flips bearish, and continues right back down from here. These wicks are all like very big. All right, and it's not like we like completely cleared out this area. If you look at it right here, that's your resistance. These are all the wicks. This candle technically kind of closed back into that range, right? Back below that area. You look at the 15-minute, you might be able to see that. If you see the 15-minute here, that got that resistance, support, resistance over here. Now we ended up closing back below that area. So I don't see enough bullish volume unless we're pulling back into the range deeper and then continuing back up. But don't be in any rush to take anything. I think yesterday was the move. Still kicking myself on not being able to grab this, but yesterday was a big move. A lot of times when you get a big move like this, you're not going to see a complete correction right away. You're going to see a lot of consolidation, a lot of people grabbing orders, and most likely a continuation in that direction, which is what I personally see happening. All right. So just be careful on taking any buys, and maybe safe sells will be below 1807. Once we break that level right there. Starts to get very tricky once you get below that area. But you do have kind of a move coming right back down to 17. I would actually mark this just off as 1800. Whenever it gets a little confusing on targets, just look at those psychological levels. You got 1800. Like, banks want to bring price back down to 1800 if we're going to break that area. Here, look at this. You're starting to see this fake out here on the 15-minute. See, a lot of buyers, I'm sure, trying to fight the market, probably got trapped right there. So looking at the 1 hour right here, you have this support, and you do have enough pips in here, especially, I mean, this is the least amount of pips that I'd be looking for on gold as far as a successful range to trade, around 35, right? So this would be possible to take, especially if you get a strong bearish close after a little fake out right there. Continuing the move from yesterday, I'd like to see us kind of retest this low and grab this these pips over here to continue right back down and possibly continue this move throughout New York. All right, just again, keep in mind you do have EDP coming out soon. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Lewis. Let's take a look. You were saying on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, got a little bit of a trend here. Yeah, price tapping multiple times, kind of creating these higher lows. Again, I would kind of take this like a grain of salt. We could be in a range right here, right? We could have entered or exited a range that we had up here, and now we're entering another one. But I do think even if we are doing that, we should at least be retesting this low down here. Let's go back down to these time frames. The 1 hour over here has not flipped bearish just yet. We keep bouncing off the support. As you can see, the 30-minute did retest that support over there, right? Closed a strong bearish candle on the 15-minute, right? But we closed right above that area. We haven't closed below that area yet. Right, so I do think that this candle could be very well creating that top wick, and then we continue down, and then we catch the 8 o'clock volume, bringing us right back down. Right, Wednesday follows Tuesday, and the move that Tuesday gave us. But just be careful in this. Everyone understand that? Everyone on the same page, or anyone got different analysis? No, we're all good. Sergio, what's up, buddy? Having an amazing day, huh?
Yo, what's up?
Let's go, baby. How you doing?
Doing great, man.
Good to hear. Catch anything yesterday?
No.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday. I'll take full responsibility for that. I think we should have caught some of those moves. Again, like I like what Quentin actually said. Like, if I'm going to take a trade before the session, I'll just delay the session for a second, kind of like what I did today for 10 minutes, and call out the trade if I am taking it. So I guess I'll do that moving forward so that we could all take these together. And then once we hop on, maybe we don't start with our standards and all that stuff, but we could get into that, once we kind of take a trade or place a trade or we're in a trade, we could get into that stuff, and then we'll get going with our regular session. What's up, Quentin?
Nothing much, man. How you doing? You better than yesterday?
Dude, yesterday I hit a wall. Just hit a wall. All of a sudden I just started feeling, was sneezing the whole time. And then this morning, I did that vitamin C blast, 7,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And now I feel fine. So, and vitamin D as well. But yeah, I thought I was coming down with something yesterday. I just did not
You
feel.
taking vitamin on the daily?
What's up?
You taking vitamin on the daily?
Do I take vitamins on the daily?
Yeah.
Yeah, I take a
On a daily
multivitamin and magnesium.
Yep.
Along with the medicine I take for my thyroid. Anybody else have thyroid issues in this group?
What is it again?
Thyroid.
My girlfriend's mom does.
Your girl's mom does?
Yeah. I think she had
Hypo or
hers removed.
hyper?
I think she has some thyroid removed on her neck, I think.
Yeah, thyroid is your main gland for your energy, your metabolism, all that stuff. But I was actually born without one. I don't have a thyroid, so I take medicine on a daily basis to supplement that.
Take calcium?
I don't take calcium. I mean it's in my vitamin C, but I take like I said, magnesium. It's called levothyroxine. This the typical person will only take what is it, like 25 milligrams or something? I take 250 a day. Every time I go into my doctor's, he's like, dude, you should be a case study because you should not look the way you do. You should not act the way you do. You should not have the energy that you do, being born without a thyroid. But it's kind of crazy.
You take testosterone too or no?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you take testosterone boosts?
Testosterone boost? No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I get my testosterone boost from the gym.
Yeah.
Little wins every day.
I have a question.
Sure.
If you're trading based on the 1 hour, would you wait for the 1 hour to close below or the 30-minute?
I would, if you're trading based on the 1 hour, I'd wait for that 1 hour to close below, and then I would manage on the 30-minute.
Okay.
That's typically what I do. So if I take a trade on the 30-minute and the whole trade is based on the 30-minute, I'll manage on the 15.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I could ignore the other time frames, which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't do. It's just that all my time frames need to be lined up. And one of those checklist items is, check all the time frames, takes 5 seconds. Okay, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, everything's good. All right, we're good. Good to go. I have a valid stop loss. I got a valid range that I'm trading in. Clean move to the left for the most part. All that stuff. It's little things that are gonna start to, it takes a while for you to kind of get through that checklist when you start beginning, but then as you start going through it, it starts to become muscle memory, and you don't always have to check a checklist anymore. It's like I know exactly what my whole process is before taking a trade, and you stick to that. As long as you do, you're gonna be successful over time. You're still gonna be taking losses. Don't think you're never going to lose just by sticking to your trading plan, but you'll know exactly how to manage risk, and that's what builds confidence. Not so much the wins. The wins definitely build confidence, but when you're able to manage risk the right way and tightly without micromanaging, that it almost feels like a win, especially when it goes the opposite way, and you were right on managing risk. It's a great confidence builder. But anyway, stock market time. We have the Dow here, ended up closing a strong bearish candle last month, right? Ended up rejecting this level, creating another lower high over here, continuing down from that all-time high of 37,000. Now this current monthly candle, just like I talked to you guys about gold, created that top wick, and now we're spending the second half of the month, maybe. We're starting to get to mid-month. We haven't flipped yet, but maybe mid-month, maybe like March 15th next week, we'll end up flipping bearish over here and continuing down. Or that ends up happening today with Powell talking and NFP by the end of the week. All right. So right now, monthly candle is now starting to exhaust, flip bearish. That will be a healthy top wick as well if we do pass the low. Looking at the weekly now, the weekly is more of a range, but we are respecting this bearish trend. Right? We are creating lower highs and lower lows here. Actually, no, we're creating lower highs right now. So you're seeing the bearish pressure, but we're still holding this support. Last week, we ended up getting a nice bounce off that area over here, right? But that was just a retracement and sellers taking profit before now sellers start to kick back in after buyers kicked in, but the buyers are not winning right now, right? Sellers ended up tapping in and now taking this right back down, almost completely correcting that bullish candle right there, right? So again, further testimony from Powell talking about increasing rates. The more hawkish he's going to be. I think Barkin is speaking as well today, so we'll see what he has to say. But this can very well continue right back down, closing below this support, and continue down with a clean move to the left, and then you can wave goodbye to the U.S. economy at that point. Because once we break that, we got not much hope heading into the rest of 2023 with inflation going down, hopefully, but also unemployment rising. It's harder to produce as a business or as a company, and you're going to see a lot of panic in the market, and we could very well break 28,800 and continue right back down to 26,300. Right. So looking at the daily now, we're not going to get to that in a while, but looking at the daily over here, now you're starting to see a little fake out, right? We had lower highs being formed over here, a nice bearish push after tapping into this area for the last time, right? With that liquidity grab, we flipped bearish and they got lower highs ever since, right? But then over here, we got this lower high that was created. We created some kind of a resistance right there. This candle also tapped into that area as well before closing a weak bullish candle. Then we tapped right into this support right here, right? Then what do? We got a strong close above that resistance with this candle, pushed up into this previous support, rejected it hard, and now closed right back below that level. So now we got some kind of a fake out here in the daily after closing a strong bearish candle. We already have a top wick on this candle, almost identical to the bottom wick of that candle. Can we just continue down from here, right? Or are we just going to get some kind of a retracement up and then continue right back down? That's the tricky part of taking some kind of a fake out in the middle of this range right here. That the fact that, you know, we could pass the low over here and then retrace back into this area and then continue down. That's why you got to really make sure all time frames are aligning. So now what we're seeing again yesterday, strong bearish move coming all the way down over here. You got this previous support that was held, now holding some kind of a resistance. Now we have some kind of a support right here that we're holding. Well, we were holding. And it looks like this candle could end up closing below, but it also could reject and close above here at 10 o'clock. Remember, US 34-hour closes at 10 o'clock, now at 9. But that's a very strong 4-hour candle over here where we could very well continue this move. Clean candle to the left here on the 4-hour as well. Yeah, look at that. We kind of gap down. And to me, we kind of have to fill that gap most likely. But we'll see what we end up getting. Because if we get a close below this area with the wick to fill, strong close below, I could very well see this thing continuing right back down. Starting to get a little bit choppy below this area. But what do we talk about when we get an impulsive move like this? And then this consolidation. What should we expect on the other side if we're continuing the move? Come on, quick answers, guys. You guys know.
Probably, probably like another quick. No, I mean a big move.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So you normally get not always the same size, but typically you'll get a nice impulsive move continuing down over here. Right? So just keep that in mind, especially with the fundamentals that we're having today coming out and how hawkish Powell was. It's gonna send the stock market down. Look at the US dollar. Japanese yen is down too. So that's why I think GJ is strictly technicals and basing off the Great Britain economy. But right over here, look at the US dollar after yesterday, after Powell's comments. Right over here. Right, so we ended up breaking up, creating a new high, almost reaching 106 over here. Right, so can we end up after today coming down, holding a support, and then continuing up to retest 106? If that's the case, and he's more hawkish, this thing's going to continue right back down. Look at the 30-minute. Yeah, you're seeing the 30-minute pressure. What I can possibly see here, right, is this is kind of what we talk about with dynamic risk, where you can potentially enter, like if you get like your setup right over here, use your normal stop loss, something like in the middle of the range or above the previous resistance, or if we get like a retest right in here, you put your stop loss above that retest. But if you're anticipating catching this entire move here, right, you're going to lower your risk, and based on this setup over here, as long as we close below, you could potentially put your stop loss up here, right? And this would be based on the higher time frames over here. Your stop loss would be above the 4-hour resistance, and you're aiming to catch this entire thing. But again, you're trading based on percentage right now. So, you know, even if you have your stop loss all the way up here, it's still the same kind of a risk as if you were trading the lower time frames. It's not like you're trading based on lot size, then all of a sudden you're risking so much more with your stop loss up here.
Right. Imagine if you had a sell stop right at that where you have that support well,
Right
I guess that was a previous all the way up there yesterday.
Up here?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's diagnose how we could have caught this move yesterday, right?
Because that's what because remember when I think the news came on, it just completely tanked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it would be kind of hard to grab something like this. I mean, it's a speech, so like he could be saying anything with one question, and then the next question, or not a speech, it's a testimony. Hold on. Gotta sneeze.
Elephant.
All right, it's not coming. But with a speech, it's a lot more difficult to set a self stop and buy stop as opposed to like data like NFP or something like that, where you're gonna get that spike, close the full thing, close majority of it, go risk free, and then just let it run. With a speech, it's a little bit different. But you could have been expecting that, because as we've been talking for months, as more and more hawks come out of the Fed and they become more and more hawkish based on the data that we're getting, you got to expect that the stock market's going to be coming down. You got to expect that gold is going to be coming down. The dollar is going to be rising and becoming more in demand and becoming the winner again. Remember, we had all this price action over here, right? Correcting that because the Fed got more dovish, right? Because the data wasn't as good to end the year. And then all of a sudden, we head into 2023 or the very end of 2022, and the data starts to pick up a little bit more, right? Now, but before that, my point was, look what ended up happening before that. The U.S. dollar became the most in-demand currency in the world. All of 2022. Look at that move. Just higher lows, higher highs, right? Then the dovish Fed. Now we're coming back down to this previous support. Could draw it like that. And now we're starting to continue right back up. We could very well end up retesting those highs. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, this thing will continue back down. Now be careful with US 30 over here, because we did close above that area. So we rejected just again. And not a close, not a strong bearish close, by the way. Right? We closed a much weaker bearish close with a long bottom wick. So right now, I just want to wait. Maybe we end up getting a pullback into here and then a close below. That's what I want to be.
Sorry for cut you off. So I'm saying GJ closed.
Yep.
Kind of bullish.
I was just looking at it. I just want to go back to GJ for a second and point this out to you guys. This is looking good as far as bearish volume heading into New York, right? This was London. No, this was yesterday. No, this was this morning. So this morning, London ended up pulling back into this area to retest that high, failed to break above, and then pre-New York, we ended up getting this bearish price action. Now New York is coming into play, even more volume than we had here, plus ADP, plus JOLTS job openings, and plus Powell testifying. This could very well continue right back down. So I'd be looking for, and if you guys are a little bit more advanced and you're using some of the 15-minute time frame and stuff like that, I think with today's volume, if we do get a 15-minute close below this area, that might be safe enough for you to take this range and then head this into 161,700. Okay, but right now, again, we keep rejecting this level. People keep trying to sell in this area over here. Now, if you have a wider stop loss, safe stop loss, I could see why you're doing it. But like the best thing to do is just wait for that strong close below this area. And then all of a sudden, you know, if you get like maybe an actual retest and that's what you're waiting for, next candle ends up closing a strong bearish candle right here. Now you get a tighter stop loss and a better risk to reward to take this thing down. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm waiting for. At least a 15-minute close below. You know? But yeah, this too many times we've seen a bounce off this area. So it's worth kind of just waiting for. It's not like this range is like too small and you know you're fearing not getting that many pips off of this range right over here. So that entails you or entices you to take a trade in here when you don't need to. Like I said yesterday, trading is mostly just waiting. Just waiting and waiting for candles to close. If you could do that, you're on the right track. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but eventually, like you're going to be gaining confidence a lot quicker than someone that's not waiting for candles to close and just setting themselves back every single time they trade. They'll take a nice little win, which most people can call, and then all of a sudden they won't be able to manage a loss, and they'll lose all their winnings and then more than that. All right, so gold over here.
So if ADP comes out worse than expected, that means that the dollar is going to go down.
So yes. So if we let me diagnose that for a second. So if we get good ADP data, right? If ADP data, jobs data comes out good, that's going to entice the Fed to increase rates more. So US 30 is going to drop, gold's going to drop, right? That's kind of where you're looking at ADP data. If we're getting good jobs data, right, coming out, and they're expecting more than previous over here. So if we get more than anticipated, right? If we get like 250, 300,000 on ADP. Now ADP doesn't always line up with where the economy is at. It's just the main check provider for companies in the US, right? So it's a nice little indicator, but it doesn't always align with NFP. Doesn't always align with official job data. So keep that in mind. But it certainly can give us a nice move. But with ADP over here, if we're getting good job data coming out of the US, if we're getting good GDP, if we're getting good anything, that's kind of the enemy of the Fed, because that's going to, you know, keep inflation high.
Gotcha.
So if we get bad ADP data, that might give us a nice little rally on gold. That might give us a nice little rally back on US 30. And the dollar over here is going to not continue, but you're going to get more of a retracement. Now, I do think that, you know, it would be nothing. It would just be like a retracement down to here before price holds support and then continues back up. Right? And you'd only be grabbing the short-term move coming back up maybe into here, or maybe even up here before gold continues right back down again. But gold did end up bouncing off this support over here and continuing up. We're in a major range over here, right? So once we break below this area and close below here, you can anticipate capitalizing on this fake out here and continuing down. But again, keep in mind, we had such a big move yesterday, and we're at a major support on the higher time frames over here, right? 1805, 1810, at a major support that, you know, you could very well be getting some kind of a solid bounce anywhere into these areas to continue right back down. But like I said, after a move like this, what I've seen in the past is that price either kind of consolidates around here with the fundamentals that we have, or we pull back just a little bit and then continue back down. Make sense? Yeah, look at that bounce off of US 30. Right? Everything's telling us to sell, right? But we didn't get what we wanted. We waited for candles to close. Candle closed above that area. Probably be getting stopped at this point with your stop loss somewhere up here. These moves need correction most of the time, right? But if they are going to continue, right, and you do get that close below that area, you know, a lot of times you get a very, very similar size move continuing down. But this was a, you know, we were talking before, Lewis, about a potential sell and how you could have grabbed this, at least on the 30-minute. If you guys trade specifically based on the 30-minute, you could have grabbed an earlier one once we broke support right over here. What do we get right here?
Yeah.
What do we get? Actually, Lewis, I want you to tell me where you think I would tell you to take a sell here.
I would have taken a sell as soon as he broke the lows on that support that you have.
Right here?
Yeah, as soon as he broke the little red candle right there, I would have taken it.
On this candle?
Mm-hmm.
So your stop loss.
Or, well, actually, no. Actually, not really. Let me see. Actually, maybe on the retest of the second one, on
There
that
you go.
on that wick, on
Yes,
that
sir.
wick. Yeah, and then my stop loss would have been a top, right above that wick.
So this 30-minute wick right over here, what is that on the lower time frames? What would that look like?
As a is a retest on the 5 minutes, I guess.
It's probably maybe the 5-minute, maybe even the 15-minute, right? But
Yeah.
what I would do is, you know, this is great, right? You're breaking below the support. It's like, okay, we're creating new lows now. We should be continuing right back down, but at the same time, like your stop loss is all the way up here, which is all good and
Yeah.
dandy. But like you need, you know, a like price to reach all the way down here to get that 1-to-1. That's not always going to happen. But what you do get is this strong close of the wick to fill with that momentum and the fundamentals that we know. Price should be continuing down over here and all you need is that retest of this level. So I would say as soon as this candle flip bearish, oh, not the Fibonacci. As soon as that candle flip bearish would be a valid sell
Entry.
to take
Yeah.
this thing in, right?
Yeah.
Now, also, if you want to wait for a break and retest, a proper pullback over here, this would have been a great sell to take over here. Now, maybe not as soon as this candle passed the low of that candle, but maybe that wick would have been safer, right? Fairly clean move coming down over here. You'd at least get the 1-to-1 with your stop loss above that candle. 114 points. You would have gotten that 1-to-1 coming all the way down here. Now, if you want to look at the 15-minute, 15-minute creating that lower high, that might be a valid entry right there after this candle closed. Nice rejection, right? And then you get that lower high formed on that candle. This candle respects the high, starts to flip bearish. You get a lot of volume in the market, and then continues right back down.
Yeah.
Makes
That
sense?
would have been a nasty move.
100%. Now, if you get rid of this right over here on the 15-minute, you get a strong close below, pullback, liquidity grab, where this candle passed the high of that candle and flip bearish and close a strong bearish. Top wick forms, respects the high. You could take it after this candle passed the low of that candle to grab this entire move as well. But these are all like situations where you can look for different entries. And there you go. That's that 5-minute retest right here. Nice strong bearish close here in the 5-minute. Take this whole move down.
Yeah. Did you end up taking anything yesterday or no?
No. So when I missed that, we were actually talking in the group chat, right? When I missed that, that's where, you know, I'm like, all right, I really don't want to capitalize on like FOMO feelings. So I was just like, you know, I'm gonna stay out. I feel a little rusty over last week and not being on the charts as much as I normally am. So when I said that, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna. It hurt. It stings missing this, but you know, I'll be able to catch this next time or even today. You know, you
I'm
learn
sure
your
there's gonna
lesson.
be another. I'm sure there's gonna be another move after
Yeah.
this big ass move, anyways.
Yeah. Too many traders think like, you know, this is the end all be all if you miss this. It's like, damn, yeah, it sucks, but I can learn from it. I got a lesson from it, right? And if you're not journaling these and all these little setups and all these little possible entries that you could possibly take and where you could put your stop loss and all that stuff, you're never going to be capitalizing on these. That's why journaling is so important. And not only like the physical journal with the screenshots and description in the Trello, but just a journal to yourself, you know? Where is it? I journal a physical trade on Trello, right? So I write in the description about the trade. It's typically the same as what I write here, what I'm about to show you. But I also write in my notebook, right? My journal, the trading AAR. I write a little bit, it's a little shorter, but I write in there as well. But then I normally copy and paste this over to my group Trello. So this is just exactly what happened on that trade, what I missed, what I should have been doing, right? This is all in detail stuff that you got. Again, this is being a professional, all detailed stuff about what exactly was happening. So this was Monday, GJ, very ragey, didn't touch. This was gold on Monday. This is kind of the loss that we took, right? And how we managed and what I was thinking about. And then US 30 over here. Right. So like writing down all these little thoughts, it's one of the most powerful things that you could do as a trader. I think does anyone listen to Trading Nut podcast?
Sometimes I do, like Chart Addicts.
Chart Addicts, yeah. So you know how you know, a lot of podcasts or shows. All right, we got ADP that just came out. You know, a lot of podcasts and shows will you have like that intro.
Yeah.
So one of the intros, someone says, I forget who the trader is, but he's like, that personal diary to yourself. Wow, big surprise number over here. So I would expect you might be able to actually put your stop loss above this resistance here on US 30, and this thing should continue down, right? That was that big surprise we just talked about. Gold over here, capitalize on this fake out. right? Now, the best thing to do is probably wait for that close below this area. But I want to get my magic keys and everything ready for myself. GJ should be continuing down as well.
So you say gold, what was the news came out good? I mean,
Came out, yeah, much better than expected. So that should be pushing US 30 down, gold down. I think after that, above that liquidity grab on US 30 should be a safe stop loss. May want to wait for the candle to close, and that's what I'm looking at right now. Let's see, gold. Yeah, gold, a stop loss up here. You might be safe to take this whole move down. And if you want to wait for the 30 to close, that might be the best thing to do. The 15 didn't even close below just yet. But the US 30 over here, right? Stop loss above that liquidity grab. The fact that we're flipping bearish, there's a lot of volume here. And Powell's going to be testifying. We could get further sells continuing down today to follow this move. That might be good. Let's see. If you were to enter right there, stop loss would be around 78 points. Only thing is, like, you do have this little support right here that you could get a bounce off of, but I think with today's volume, we should be pushing through that. Let's see, 15-minute on GJ, grab liquidity. I think with GJ as well. You know what? Enter. Okay, so I just jumped in US 30. I could definitely see gold, especially after this candle. Hopefully we get a strong candle like that. I like the 15-minute holding that lower high here, and now we're starting to break the support on gold as well. And then US 30, I just entered right over here. Stop loss is above there. And I'm looking, the reason why I have such a wide stop loss and it's not like in the middle of this range is just because I want to catch the full move today. All right. Missed the one from yesterday. Has nothing to do with this trade, but at the same time, like it's I'm capitalizing on the volume, right?
yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts other than Lewis? It was a great job, by the way, past couple of days. You just seem like real engaged, real into it.
Thanks,
Into-
bro.
into
You know
your
what I've been
trading.
doing, bro? I've been waking up a little bit earlier, and then I wake up around 6 now,
Okay.
6:05. Then I just have like a whole hour to like just wake up and have coffee, just like go to the bathroom, talk to my girl. Before I was just waking up at 7, I'm like, fuck, I'm so sleepy. I'm like, like I have
Oh,
like a
man.
whole hour to like wake up and like actually like,
Yeah,
be alive. So I think
Yeah.
that's helping me out a lot, honestly.
it definitely does. Having a morning routine, like if you're screwing up your mornings, you feel like shit the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot harder to feel good the rest of the day. So this was obviously like it could have been a little earlier of an entry, but the reason why I took it was because I have a wider stop loss and I'm okay. 15 minutes. I'm okay watching this play out, especially after this price action here. Now, if my stop loss was right here, that'd be a little tougher to manage.
I mean, I like it. Looks like it's Breaking support. It's about to close on the 30 minutes.
Yep. GJ looks
That's
good as well.
Oh,
Again,
shit,
if you-
DJ.
If you're not in GJ, you know, you got 10 minutes left for 8:30 to happen, right? So you could very well get the pullback right there. But what I do like on GJ is the that little liquidity grab and the fact that it passed the low. So your stop loss above that 15-minute resistance would be safe to take this thing down. Liquidity grab before. So what I think happened here was price continued down over here. We got that close below on the 15-minute, right? We pulled back, right? Faked a lot of people out, probably took a lot of people out over here, and could very well be continuing right back down. Again, a safer sell would be waiting for that candle to close below, but I think we should be good based on that price action. We're pulling back into this area. I'm wondering if we get any kind of like a lower high kind of formed in here. Now, if we start closing in this area, right, and holding a support right here, right, that tells me that I need to manage risk. Anybody in GJ?
No, not me, bro.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, this like little liquidity grab after the news came out, and then it passed low of the previous candle right there. Stop loss would have been safe right up here, and you would have had the 1-to-1 right now. Part of me wishes that's the one we took together, but that's all right. Gold is holding some kind of a support right over here, which I don't like for US 30. You guys see why I put my stop loss up here? Does that make sense to you guys? It's a good example of why you want to wait for candles to close below. I feel like I'm more experienced now in US 30 where I feel confident in this price action and how weak this bullish candle close was. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that that good jobs data gave some optimism towards the stock market, which is why you're getting this little pullback right here. But what it should be doing is pushing this thing down because it's signaling to the Fed, okay, we got to stay hawkish, kind of keep increasing rates. Anyone grab GJ right here? Now, for anyone a little bit more advanced, that liquidity grab, I think, Quentin, are you here? Quentin's not here. This little liquidity grab on the 5-minute and then that strong close below with the wick to fill, that could have been your cue after ADP came out at 820 that you could have grabbed this candle right here. That makes sense? Serge, Sergio, Lenny, Lim?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So that's something that you could journal. You know, you didn't get the 15-minute close below, but nice liquidity grab, passed below the previous 30-minute over here, had a nice resistance in that area to continue right back down. That's nice. All right, I want to continue journaling US 30 here. 1 hour. This trade was also taken based on all the other time frames as well. Daily. Looking for this to continue down. I don't like that higher low formed on the 5-minute here. Let's see, we got about 3 minutes left for the 8:30 candle to close. See how we end up closing here. Yeah, I don't like this. All right, so get my management set up here. Let's I'm gonna wait for the 30-minute to close here. And we'll see what I end up doing as far as managing risk. But you see how like we're forming these lower highs? That's what I would like to see formed right here and then continue down. The only problem is, what do we have here? A higher low, right? So this is all like one big range basically on the 5-minute. But I'm banking on fundamentals playing a part in the selling pressure being more prevalent than the buying pressure. All right, this could just be all liquidity grabs before continuing down, kind of like this. I'd like to see that like right here. Make sense?
Yeah.
Serge, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Okay, just all right.
Yeah, just come back from the gym, feel a bit sleepy because I work nights, you know.
Oh yeah, you work overnight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So after gym, had my protein shake and now kind of nodding off.
You hit that
10 seconds, the group you have tried.
you hit that what's it called? The leg day, huh?
Yeah, I did a leg today, you know, first time after holiday, so
That'll do it.
should be sore to that tomorrow.
68.3 billion against.
Okay, so the 30-minute did close bullish against us, a strong bullish as well. Most likely going to be managing risk here. Yeah, because we just grabbed liquidity and then flip bullish. So I'm going to take 50 off and let the rest run. So let me see right here. Cut 50. I do think we'll continue down. That's why I'm only cutting 50 right now. But you know, you got to stick to rules and manage risk, live to fight the next trade.
I'm just playing games today, bro.
Yep. Yeah, GJ, this is something that like on the 5 minute, this is what I was even thinking about before, you know, ADP came out. It's just like, because you're looking at the 30 minute over here. It's like, you got a clean move to the left. Do I really want to wait for this 30 minute to close below me specifically? Because like you could very well end up missing out on this whole trade. So that's where, you know, if you guys are sticking to the 30 minute, don't start neglecting that. Stick to the 30 minute for now, but start journaling these trades on the lower time frames and how you could have, you know, capitalized on the 15 minute.
What about in the 5 minute? They closed under that support and did like a little break and retest in the 5 minute. Would you have gone in there like that or not? DJ.
Right here.
Yeah.
Like if it did a little break and retest.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm saying like no, I'm saying would you have gotten in on that little 5 minute close under that support and then on the retest in the 5 minutes? Or that would have been
After this close,
yeah.
would I have gotten in?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. With my stop loss right above here, right above this resistance right up here, but above that liquidity grab. Because this, like we've seen this on the, I used to only capitalize on these candles on the 30 minute, right? 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. Then I started capitalizing them on the 15 minute. And then I saw opportunity where, you know, because I started journaling these trades where I could capitalize on this on the 5 minute if the 30 minute is all lining up. Because the 30 minute lined up, just didn't get that close below.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes you need to resort, especially on these fast moving pairs like GJ and Gold and US 30. Like some of these pairs, you need to kind of resort back down to those lower time frames. I just wish I grabbed that one. Now I do like Gold, right? 15-minute close below, 30-minute just closed below as well. 35 pips
But
in
isn't
this
Gold-
range.
Oh, yeah. That's that where you have that support. It's like a daily support, right? That thick one.
The thick one, yeah. So let's go back to the higher time frames. Check on all our time frames here. Okay, so this candle did end up flipping bearish now. The 4 hour is now flipping bearish. I can see this continuing down. Keep in mind this 4 hour candle is going to be closing in the next 26 minutes. So maybe it closes somewhat like that. Next one creates a top wick, passes low, and continues down. But I do think after this liquidity grab that we should be filling that wick. At least filling that wick at some point and coming down. Just be aware this is a strong demand zone. See the 1 hour. So again, maybe, you know, you could wait for this 1 hour candle to close below, which then would be the 4 hour candle after flipping bearish and closing bearish. So maybe wait for the little retest right here and then continue down. It's not giving it to you yet.
What about GJ? Would you wait for a lower high to get in it?
GJ, yeah, the only thing is with GJ is we kind of retested this low. I would wait for maybe a close below 162 where you could take this. Now we could pull back, which would be great, right? If we create this low over here, we pull back all the way into here, hold some kind of a resistance, and then retest that low. Only thing is I'd make sure that I'm closing pretty much the whole thing at that low. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Because we could very well end up rejecting this area as we did with this. Like if this does retest like this, that's a pretty hard rejection of this previous support. Right? So the chances of this thing retesting that low become a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Just I wish we grabbed this one. I apologize. I think I've been a little rusty ever since coming back because we didn't hold our live session on Friday, and then we had the whole week where everything was pretty rangy, and I didn't trade. But we'll get it back. You guys ready to back test today?
Yeah.
See what we can do with that account. So again, you go into this trade. I risk 1% on this trade, cut 50 basically halfway through drawdown. So when you go into your trades, you fully expect and being okay with the full stop loss being hit, but your game is to lose a lot less. So like now that I already cut 50, I'm gonna let this thing play out a little bit until it continues right back down, hopefully, because it did create a new low, right? We pulled back into this range, but we did create a new low, breaking this support over here, right? So, with a very bearish trend, we could just be getting that deeper pullback before continuing down. I want to see, this is kind of how you use the lower time frames. Let's see if this 1 minute, see how the 1 minute created that higher low here? Let's see if this 1 minute can start exhausting here. Because as you can see, you got that wick right there, strong bearish candle close over there. We could very well keep tapping into this area multiple times. And then all of a sudden we start rejecting and continuing right back down. Because fundamentally, that's what should be happening. And fundamentals are the reason why moves happen in the first place. So I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this. Actually, I don't need to right now. Yeah, see the 5 minute resistance right over here? We could be tapping into that area one last time and then continuing right back down. I just don't like this higher low. And who knows, there might be a chance for me to re-enter. But you're not doing that until you start breaking below here, right? Until you start getting this lower high being created, but then we start closing below the support, then you can re-enter. I'm not re-entering just because we're rejecting up here. You see that on the 1 minute? I want to make that a little bit brighter. You see that first wick rejection right there? Resistance, lower high. Now we could very well be creating a higher low over here to continue back up. But that's your first indicator that price could very well continue back down. I think it'd be safe to, if we do close above this level, good, since my stop loss is right here, if you want to manage risk again, you do have the possibility of possibly closing the full thing up here. Man, gotta go earlier today for another project. Well, okay. All right. Yeah, let's see. This bullish candle did close, held a higher low over here, but it did close below that support, that resistance. There you go. You see GJ is pulling back a little bit. A good indicator for GJ pulling back is the fact that you closed with barely a bottom wick right over here. Right, so you're at least going to get some kind of a pullback before continuing down. Sure, Jill, you good? All right, guys. Any questions?
No.
No, you good? Lenny, you good?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Serge?
Yeah, I'm all right. Looks like dollar doesn't want to go up anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why everything starts ranging a bit. And
I mean, keep in mind, like, Powell's going to be speaking again today. I think that was like a huge move of the week, right? Each week has like maybe one or two moves. But, we could just be pulling back right now to then continue right back up later today and with NFP. Right? If we get strong NFP data, this thing's going to continue back up
yeah,
off the basis of the Fed being more hawkish.
because ADP, it was like in the range. Because the guy I paying for this analyst, they said if it's between 200 and 300K, it's not gonna move much.
Mm.
And it's actually what's happened.
Yeah, so if we look at NFP data expectations for today, now ADP was much higher than expected and previous, right? Now NFP over here, they're expecting a lot less than previous, 517,000 jobs. That was a big surprise for January, right? So now, they're expecting a lot less than that. So we'll see what we end up getting. Unemployment rate, they're expecting to stay the same. Average earnings index, expected to stay the same as well. So we'll see. But with that being said, this will be on the on YouTube for you guys. Yesterday's session was as well. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys at 1 o'clock for back testing.
Okay, thank you, Steph.
Absolutely.
All right, bro. See you later, man.
See you guys.